Hello, my name is Paige Hullman, and I am a graduate student studying speech-language pathology at Northeastern University. Thank you very much for coming to my presentation. I am presenting this research, but I would also like to acknowledge Professor Susan Fine, who is the co-author. I began graduate school in the fall of 2020 during the COVID-19 pandemic, and because of this, many of my classes and clinical experiences were remote. One of my first remote clinical experiences was a language literacy experiential program, also known as LLP, that was conducted at a local preschool called the Russell Call Children's Center. LLP is an experiential course that is part of the Master's Speech Language Pathology program curriculum here at Northeastern. Graduate students engage preschool-age children in joint storybook reading and scaffolded activities that embed literacy concepts. The graduate students worked in dyads with 2 to 3 preschool students who were supported in person by a teacher or a teacher's aide. The graduate students had a lot of freedom in terms of lesson planning for the groups. I noticed that many of the clinician dyads, including my own, were taking very different approaches, especially when it came to the storybook modality that was used during the virtual session. Some graduate clinicians used a hard copy storybook and read it to the preschoolers, while others presented a digital book on a screen and read it, yet other graduate clinicians played a YouTube video read aloud for the LLP group sessions. In order to gain insight into the virtual format of the program, I compared the graduate students' and teachers' perspectives of the preschoolers' engagement depending on the storybook modality being used. I would like to talk more about this today as I discuss the findings of my study shown here in this presentation. My research project is titled Graduate Students and Teachers' Perspectives of Storybook Modalities in Early Literacy Intervention via Telepractice. The 2 types of storybook modalities that were investigated via telepractice are listed here. The first is holding a physical book up to the camera, and the second is digitally presenting a book via a PowerPoint or a YouTube video read aloud. Here's an example of a digital storybook. This is If You Give a Pig a Pancake by Laura Numeroff that was presented via PowerPoint presentation. The aims of this research project were to determine which storybook modality presented via telepractice is most effective in supporting preschool-age children's early literacy skills, and compare pre and post data that was collected using the SELF-P2 PA screener to determine if the students' early literacy skills improved after telepractice intervention was provided. The methods for investigating the effectiveness of each storybook modality are listed here. At the end of LLP, the graduate student clinicians and preschool teachers filled out a survey that measured their perspectives of the children's engagement during joint storybook reading across the different modalities of storybooks that was presented via telepractice. The graduate clinicians and teachers rated their perspectives of the children's engagement on a scale of 1 to 5, with 1 being the least and 5 being the most engaged. To look at the score comparison from January to April 2021, the SELF-P2 PA screener was administered. The screener consists of 24 items and takes about 10 minutes for children to complete. And the total scores were used for the present analysis and were calculated by summing the subsection scores. The results for the storybook modality are listed here. A Whitney U test revealed that there was no significant difference in the perspectives of the 2 modalities, meaning that teachers as well as graduate students thought both modalities were just as effective and engaging for the students. A Wilcoxon test revealed that the April scores were significantly higher than the January scores, indicating that there was an improvement in early literacy skills from before the program and after. Here is a figure that outlines the improved scores from January to April 2021. The conclusions of this study, as previously stated, for the storybook modality, the analysis of survey responses indicated that the physical and digital storybook modalities are both equally engaging to preschool-age children during early literacy intervention via telepractice. The score comparison showed that there was an improvement from pre and post program data indicating that the early literacy intervention provided via telepractice was effective. The implications of this research project tell us that speech language pathologists can use any storybook modality available to support early literacy skill development in preschool age children via telepractice. Thank you very much for coming to my presentation.